with the latest ITV news from Granada reports in the northwest.
Hello, welcome to Granada Reports. We are live with the latest across the northwest.
Good to have you with us. Here's what's coming up tonight.
Lola and Florence.
Iris.
Lily May.
Say their names. The heartfelt message from parents whose children are gone, but definitely not forgotten.
I want to say Lily's name. I want you to ask me about her, and even if, you know, you've got a child or you've not got children, or you've had an experience, and don't ignore her, because she's still my daughter.
Millionaire, MBE, sexual predator. Manchester tech tycoon Lawrence Jones faces a jail sentence for 2 rapes committed 30 years ago.
The gloves are on. How Chloe's going for glory after just 6 professional fights.
How 5-year-old Lincoln is living the dream at his local fire station.
And it was a very blustery start to the day today. We stick with that keen northwesterly wind as we head into tomorrow, with a significant wind chill as things turn colder. All the detail a little later on.
So do stay with us. But first, they're the parents who don't want their children to be forgotten.
A new study's found that 8 out of 10 parents who'd lost a child said they felt sad that people wouldn't speak about their son or their daughter.
Some bereaved parents have even reported people crossing the street to avoid meeting them because they don't know how to talk to them. Well,
the research is one of the biggest projects of its kind carried out in the UK in recent times. It found that no matter how terrible the pain of losing a child is, not talking about that child made that pain worse.
The study was commissioned by Darien House Children's Hospice in Chorley. Our reporter Claire Hannah spoke to parents there.
What to say about Lily May? Other than probably what every parent will say about their child, she's perfect. She always was. She lit up a room when she came in, so full of character. Yeah, she was so funny. Just as COVID hit, Lily started struggling with breathing. We took her to the doctors. Originally thought it was pneumonia. They'd found something in her lung, but ended up being lung cancer. And within 2 months after diagnosis, unfortunately, she passed away.
Iris was born prematurely and she needed to stay in hospital, and while she was there she became unwell. The hospital confirmed she had a serious infection, and our little girl passed away at 3 weeks old.
This is a group no one wants to be part of, and what most people don't want to talk to them about.
At the start, I think they probably treat you the same as anyone who's grieving. You know, they like to be sympathetic. They like to say, compare it to other grief they've been through. Oh, I've lost a parent, I've lost a sibling, I've lost a pet. We have had, and people try and compare it to their own experience, or they ignore you.
When Iris first passed away in November 2021, we felt a very tight network around us. We really felt the cotton wool wrapped around us. As time has continued, it has changed considerably of not hearing Iris's name as much.
These families are part of a new campaign to try and change the stigma around talking about child loss.
So we carried out a piece of research over the summer with 70 mums and dads who had lost children, and overwhelmingly the response was that people simply don't say their child's name anymore. It has a huge impact. It can leave them feeling isolated, upset. It can leave them feeling that their child doesn't matter or even didn't exist, and that's really, really traumatic for our families.
The Say My Child's Name campaign shows how one word can make a bereaved parent's day.
Iris.
Yeah, don't be scared of it. Yeah, don't be scared of saying it to us.
Don't be worried. Don't never feel that you're going to make us feel awkward. And it's okay for people to say, what do you think Iris would be like? What do you think she would be doing now? Do you think she would have a little bubbly personality?
Lily May. You know, even though Lily's not physically here, she's still in here. I want to say Lily's name. I want you to ask me about her, and even if, you know, you've got a child or you've not got children, or, you know, you've had an experience, and, you know, don't ignore her, because she's still my daughter.
They will never forget their children, and they don't want us to either. Claire Hannah, ITV News, Chorley.
Yeah, really powerful campaign. And joining us now is Kiki DeVille, who's the patron of Derrien House. She's also the mum of baby Dexter, who passed away aged only 4 weeks and 3 days in 2007. Kiki, welcome. The pain of losing a child is unthinkable, very difficult to talk about. Might it be that even parents find it hard to open up?
I think we probably do at certain points in our journey, and the thing that's really important to recognise is this is a journey. It starts and it's never ending for us. People think of grief as linear, but that's not how it works, and it certainly doesn't work like that for the death of a child. So what's really important is conversation. And that's what this campaign is all about. It's about getting people to be brave enough to say, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to say? Rather than sitting back and doing the British thing. I'm sorry, I've got to say it, but sometimes that British sort of stiff upper lip, don't want to offend anybody, don't want to upset anybody, that comes into play. When we do that, we're denying people an opportunity to talk about their child. And that's when we see trouble. Everybody's going to go on a different journey, and even the research shows us that about 10% of people, you know, they're okay, they're doing okay, they either have people around them talking about it, or it's something that they're choosing not to talk about themselves at this point in time. Every bereaved parent is going to take their journey a different way. None of those ways are wrong, and we have to respect that, but overwhelmingly, most of us are saying, let's talk about it, even though it makes you feel a little uncomfortable. Open up, ask me a question, and by the way, I'll help lead you with that.
You featured in Claire's report holding the whiteboard with Dexter's name on it. I mean, I guess in so many ways you can understand people's reservations about wanting to talk and wanting to open up, because they don't want to say the wrong thing. They don't want to. They don't want to upset the person who they care about.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? There will be times when you ask someone about their child and they will cry. But what's so wrong with tears? What's wrong with being upset in front of people? We're talking about it more and more. We're saying more and more, ask people how they are. So let's actually do that. Let's not be performative about it anymore. Let's ask people how they are. Let's talk about your child. And if you don't want to talk about it, you know what? I'm a grown-up. I can say, you know what? Today's not a good day for me to do this, but thank you. I'm going to bring it up at another time. Because there will be days I have like that. There'll be days that we all have like that. That mostly I'm probably going to go, and I'm going to perk up because actually somebody's asked me a question about it. Yeah. The thing that's really important to remember is just because you ask us once doesn't mean it's all we're going to talk about ever.
So tell us about Dexter. What do you like to talk to people? What do you say to people when you reflect on Dexter?
So Dexter was born with a genetic condition that we didn't know about until he was born. So we were fortunate enough to have a diagnosis and a prognosis within 24 hours of him being born. So we knew he was going to die. So we then had the journey of having to go to Derrien House. Well, we didn't have to go to Derrien House, we were fortunate enough to go there. And then also make decisions about how his life was then going to play out. We knew we didn't have a lot of time. When I think about him, I think about his 1-month-old birthday party. And we had all of our family and friends around and we celebrated because we knew we weren't going to get a year party. We weren't going to get a 5-year party. We weren't going to get a 16th or a 21st. That's the difference now. We grieve the physical death of our children, but we also grieve the death of firsts, of milestones, of all of the hopes and wishes and dreams that we had for them. That's what we really want people to remember.
I was just going to say, yes, that's exactly what you want to talk about and how you want to remember Dexter. Kiki, thank you so much for coming in and joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, next tonight, and a leading entrepreneur who created a multi-million-pound digital business has been convicted of drugging and raping 2 women 30 years ago.
Yes, Lawrence Jones from Hale Barnes in Greater Manchester was actually working as a musician at a hotel bar when he carried out the offences.
Our correspondent Mel Barham is at Manchester Crown Court. Mel.
Yeah, well, it took the jury just 4 hours to reach their verdicts today, finding Lawrence Jones, a successful multi-millionaire tech entrepreneur, guilty of raping 2 women. The 55-year-old had run a digital company called UK Fast here in Manchester, which he'd set up with his wife in the 90s from his spare bedroom, a company that went on to employ around 500 people and included clients like the NHS, the Ministry of Defence and the Cabinet Office. He was even awarded an MBE in 2015 for his services to the digital economy. So quite the fall from grace. Today being found guilty of drugging and raping 2 women in the 90s when he worked as a musician in a hotel bar. His victims, who didn't know each other, had come forward to the police in 2021 and 2022 with separate allegations against him, telling the trial here that they were left stupefied and only partially conscious after Jones drugged them, and they weren't able to react to his unwanted advances. Well, tonight, thanks to reporting restrictions being lifted by the judge, we can now also report that he's actually been in prison since January on remand after being found guilty in a separate trial of sexually assaulting a former employee back in 2012 in a London hotel room. The jury in this second trial were not told about that earlier conviction. Today, the Crown Prosecution Service said that they had worked really hard with the police to build a really strong case against Jones, and his victims were allowed to give evidence via video, and they were cross-examined behind a screen, so they didn't actually have to face him in court. In a statement, the CPS's senior district prosecutor said that Jones had raped 2 women with no thought for how his actions would affect them. By denying the offences, he compounded the harm to the women, attempting to evade responsibility for his actions. The jury saw through his lies and found him guilty, and I would like to thank the victims for supporting this prosecution, and I hope that this case will encourage others to seek justice. It is never too late, she said. Well, Jones will be sentenced here in Manchester next week.
Mel, it's Manchester Crown Court. Thank you.
Well, next, when someone's told they have cancer, all they want to hear are 2 very special words: all clear.
So we are delighted to be able to share a really good news story with you. It's about a man called Tom Critchley. He's 76 and he worked as a football scout for Manchester United for 20 years. Yeah, he was diagnosed with a form of bowel cancer in April last year, but he jumped at the chance of going on a clinical trial at the Christie in Manchester. And he heard those wonderful 2 words earlier this year. Tom came in a short time ago with one of the medical team behind the trial to tell us all about it. A very warm welcome to you both. Thank you for coming in. Tom, I must say you are looking very fit, very well. Just tell us about how life has been since you've been given the all clear.
Well, it's been great. No problems. I get in the gym, still working at my age. Yeah, absolutely brilliant.
Take us back to the moment when you were first given the diagnosis.
I think the word cancer, it's frightening. It's frightening. And then having to tell your children, awful.
You were given your options by doctors. One of the options was to take part in this trial, the Aphrodite trial. Just tell us about the process there and the decision that you had to take. Was it an easy decision for you to make?
I was told about the trial when I went to see the specialist at Wigan who did the scans on me and told me. So then I was recommended to Christie's and Dr. Arthur, and she said I was OK. Everything was right. I can have the treatment.
Claire, tell us about this trial. So it means that Tom didn't have to go through surgery, serious surgery, and this involves radiotherapy, didn't it?
We know that radiotherapy is a really effective cancer treatment. 1 in 2 cancer patients will receive radiotherapy. So the Aphrodite trial is investigating whether a higher dose of radiotherapy is, first of all, effective. So can we cure a rectal cancer like Tom's and avoid the need for surgery? And secondly, is it safe? Are the side effects tolerable? We're just delighted that patients like Tom agree to be part of these radiotherapy trials. It's the only way that we can advance our cancer treatments.
Because Claire, there will be some people who, when they hear the word trial, they'll think guinea pig or experiment.
Being invited to be part of a clinical trial should be seen as a really exciting opportunity, being at the forefront of medical advances. We will select the right trial for the right person.
Tom, you were very well looked after by staff at the Christie. Tell us about the relationships that you developed with experts like Claire here.
Well, I think she used to enjoy me coming in to see her because we always had a laugh. Always had a laugh. Despite what was going on, I was always told exactly what was happening. Everything was spot on.
You're a granddad. It must be so amazing knowing that you can spend this precious time with your family.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I can watch them play rugby. I can watch my daughter-in-law dance. The eldest grandson, he can show me how to put a plug on now.
And just finally, Claire, I mean, what would your message to our viewers be, viewers who might find themselves in a position similar to where Tom was?
Talk, gain information. Patients will be provided with lots of literature. There are members of our team to support them make that correct decision.
Tom, it's great to see you looking so fit and well. Claire, Tom, thank you very much for coming in. Thank you, guys. He's such a lovely guy and such a good news story too. And it's great to hear that Tom's grandkids going to be keeping him very busy.
Yeah, he looks great.
I've got some entertainment and music news for you now. The girl band Girls Aloud have announced they'll reunite for an arena tour in memory of their late Stockport bandmate Sarah Harding, marking the end of their 11-year break. Sarah, who was 39, passed away from breast cancer in 2021. Their UK tour is set to begin in May next year.
Well, next, and those who love and can afford, which is probably more important, fine dining, may have just heard of a restaurant called L'Enclume in Cartmel, a very beautiful part of the Lake District.
It's actually the only restaurant in the north of England with 3 Michelin stars. Well, now it's been recognised as one of the best restaurants, not just in this country, not just in Europe, but the whole world.
And I still haven't been. Yes, it's been placed on a global list of elite restaurants, imaginatively called La Liste, which was created in France.
La Liste. Love that. It's the only British place on there. Our South Lakes reporter, Fiona Marley-Patterson, went to meet the boss, Simon Rogan, to talk about great cooking and Christmas dinner.
It's an amazing moment for British gastronomy, let alone for the food of the Lake District, which we were a big part of. So lots of quality operators are coming here because they want a piece of the action and you know, winning awards like this to raise awareness around the world. And hopefully they're going to come in droves.
But you already have so many awards and all the rest of it. Do you actually need this one?
The world's a big place, you know. Of course we do. I mean, we've got restaurants around the world now, so you know, what's good for one restaurant is good for them all.
So you're obviously high-end dining, but a lot of people will be looking at the price of food at the moment and thinking, how do I cook for my family with kind of cheaper ingredients and what have you? Have you been affected by the cost of living crisis here?
Well, absolutely. I mean, it's tough world at the moment, obviously. Fortunate to have our own farm, but you know, the price of seed, the cost of running those farms, employment has gone up. So we make sure we utilise every ingredient to the full. But when we first started, you know, there's definitely a cost of living crisis for us. You know, we never had any outside investment. We did really start from nothing. There was no customers. It was like we were lucky to do 10 people on a Saturday night, and you know, we're very thankful for what the Lake District has given us.
So your top tip is waste nothing?
Absolutely. You know, always making sure you utilise every part of something you've paid a lot of money for. You know, you can do things with vegetable peels, make a nice soup or a nice stock, or broths, like people just chuck away bones, make a nice stock.
And what's your top tip for cooking Christmas dinner?
The most important thing to me is keeping it simple, because you always feel left out when you're cooking a Christmas dinner and getting stressed, and there's no need for it. Do your prep, think wisely, keep it relatively simple, enjoy the day.
Will you be cooking Christmas dinner this year, or are you going to have a day off?
I am having a day off this year. My son's going to cook me Christmas dinner this year. So he's a chef as well. He's got his own restaurant down on the south coast, so I'm going to be joining him, and he's going to be doing all the work, and it better be good.
And how proud are you of what you've done here in Cartmel? Because when you came here 20 years ago, it was a very different place.
I'm extremely proud. I mean, that's probably my greatest accolade if you figure about stars, to see what Cartmel, to see what the Lake District has become. I've got some very, very talented people that work for me and that are going to go on and do some even greater things. They all love it. Why wouldn't they? This is the most amazing place to live and cook in the whole of the country.
But the hard work continues. No matter how many accolades it has, the next menu still needs to be better than all those that have gone before for 20 years. Fiona Molly-Patterson, ITV News, Cartmel.
I mean, Simon's son must be feeling under pressure having to do Christmas dinner for the old man and the family.
Yeah, right. Not for me.
That comes to sport now, and Burnley's manager has been speaking for the first time since Everton's points deduction. Chris, this decision has had a big impact on both clubs.
Yeah, to start with, it affects both clubs this season. Vincent Kompany, though, was staying tight-lipped after Everton's 10-point deduction for breaking financial rules dropped them alongside Burnley at the bottom of the Premier League. But it's also raised the question of whether Burnley, Leeds and Leicester, who were relegated in the season when Everton broke the rules, should now pursue legal action for compensation.
I think the club has got a vested interest in this. I understand fully that there's been discussions at Premier League level and board level. As a person, I tend not to pay attention to anything I can't control. It's not something I can control. And quite frankly, I think we've not been, in terms of results, in any position where we need to look at anybody else but ourselves. So the focus is there, and to continue our good performances, yeah.
Meanwhile, at Kompany's old stamping ground, they're preparing to honour 3 Manchester City legends with a statue of Colin Bell, Francis Lee and Mike Summerby. Sculptor David Williams Ellis has created the statue, which will stand on the west side of the Etihad Stadium and will be unveiled on Tuesday ahead of the Champions League game against Leipzig. You're going to have to wait until then to see it. Next to one of the rising stars of women's boxing, Chloe Watson is just 6 fights into her professional career, but next month she'll fight for the vacant EBU European flyweight title. Hailing from Birkenhead, Chloe is a massive Evertonian, so you can imagine her delight at being invited to the club's Finch Farm training ground. They don't have the biggest budget in the Women's Super League, so Everton players must learn to punch above their weight. Birkenhead's blue-nose boxer Chloe Watson was happy to lend a mitted hand.
They all said that they hadn't done it before, so I was quite surprised because they all packed a good bit of power as well. So yeah, you know, who knows? They might take their skills into the ring.
It was nice to be punching her hands. I wasn't so happy to be on the receiving end of one of her punches, so. The absolute power behind it, my whole arm was shaking afterwards. You'd see it on television, you'd think, oh, that must be a hard hit, but when you're on the receiving end of one, it's a complete different story.
This ever-passionate Evertonian graduated quickly from toy fights with her brother. After joining the high school where Natasha Jonas once studied, she became inspired by the two-weight world champion. And now she's trained by another, the first woman in Ricky Hatton's stable.
So good, you know, he's been there, he's done it, you know, even like the tips and stuff that he's given me during training, it's second to none. Everyone's always said that our styles are quite similar, so when it comes to getting the pads on and me getting the gloves on, I feel like we work quite well together, like the shots just come naturally.
Chloe's been collecting belts since they were as big as she was, a 2-time national amateur champion and a Youth Commonwealth Games gold medalist. Now she's taking on Justine Lalmonde in Bolton for the vacant European crown.
I'm so excited. You know, my goal is to become world champion, and this is a good step in the right direction towards that. It's my first title, you know, I'm super excited. It's not too far from home, so I'm looking forward to it.
Well, it's amazing. Obviously, she's a big fan of us, and now we're a big fan of hers. And like she said, she looked up to Natasha Jonas, and now, you know, kids are going to be looking up to Chloe Watson. And so I think it's inspiring for her, obviously, but also for us as well to be looking up to her as an athlete.
While Chloe turns her focus to fight night, Everton head to Aston Villa this week, looking for only their second win of the season, but may be inspired by their hardest hitting supporter. Finally from me, with the weather getting colder, the cricket season does seem a long way away, but the fixtures for next year's county championship are out and Lancashire have the toughest start possible. They'll open their campaign in April against the back-to-back champions, Surrey. They like to do it the hard way at Lancashire.
Certainly do. Lovely. Thanks, Chris.
No worries.
Now, to a 5-year-old boy from St Helens who's had a day to remember.
Yes, Alder patient Lincoln has undergone a number of open heart surgeries in his short life. Despite that, though, doctors say his positivity and enthusiasm has made him shine.
Well, in 2 weeks' time, he'll be the guest of honour at the 20th Liverpool Santa Dash, the annual charity event which sees the city's waterfront transformed into a sea of thousands of Santas.
But before that, the budding firefighter spent the day with some of his own heroes, as our correspondent Anne O'Connor reports.
Yeah, we're at a St Helens fire station where you might expect to meet a fair few very brave individuals, some of whom are taking part in this year's Liverpool Santa Dash. Also taking part, the guest of honour today, the guest of honour at the beginning of December when it happens, is lovely Lincoln Heighton. He's only 5, he's a bit shy. What's it been like helping out today, Lincoln?
Have you had fun?
He's very shy. Lincoln has had several heart surgeries at Alder Hospital. His mum's here as well, Tanya. What's it been like today?
Nervous. I'm very nervous, but it's been brilliant.
Yeah. And why are you taking part in the Santa Dash?
Because we'd like to give back to Alder for everything that they've done for Lincoln and everything. So
it's been a worrying time, but he's fighting fit at the moment.
Yes, he's doing really good after surgery.
How much is he looking forward to it? What's going to be the best part, do you think?
Dressing up as Father Christmas, I think, and seeing everybody else run, so I think that'd be really nice for him.
I know for a fact that Father Christmas watches Granada Reports. He loves it, like everybody does. So, if Santa's watching tonight, I bet you're on his nice list. Tell me what you want him to send you.
What do you want for Christmas?
Toys.
Toys. Any particular toys?
Lots.
Just lots of toys. Well, thank you all. Thank you, Matthew, Dad. Joining us also is Adam Dixon from the Alder charity. It'll be like a big Christmas present, won't it, the funds that you raise from this?
It will, yeah. We always look forward to the Santa Dash. 6,000 Santas running through the streets of Liverpool. It's such a spectacle, and to have Lincoln there join us on a special day, really special little boy he is. We're so excited.
What will the money go to?
So we fund various projects in the hospital, life-saving medical equipment, our park campus, research, innovation, but my favourite has got to be magic. And magic is all of the little things that make hospital life brighter for our young patients.
And Ollie will be there as well. Give us a wave.
Yeah, Ollie's going to be running as well, actually, so look out for him.
Tell us how people can take part.
So people can still enter. They've got to go to the Santa shop in Liverpool City Centre in St John's. It's open till Saturday the 2nd of December. You can register up until next Saturday. So get registered and support Alder as much as you can.
Yep, I've got my red coat on ready. It's on the 3rd of December. Get signed up.
Oh, bless him. And Lincoln, as Anne says, Santa definitely watches Granada Reports.
He certainly does.
Now for the weather, here's Kerry.
Mum, wet wipes, toilet or bin?
Bin. Why?
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Hello, very good evening to you. Turning colder as we head through into tomorrow, but still quite windy tonight and through into Friday. Some horrible conditions right over the tops of the Pennines today. Cloudy, misty, murky and damp, and gusts in excess of 45 miles an hour earlier on out towards the coast, but some pretty impressive sea foam. We've got a couple of weather fronts sinking southwards during this evening and tonight, and it's behind that we drag in the Arctic air as we head Friday into Saturday with high pressure in charge. But as we head into Sunday and Monday, low pressure just clouding things up a little and producing some slightly less cold conditions, at least into the first part of next week. But into this evening and overnight tonight, we've still got that strong and gusty northwesterly wind, so it's dragging in quite a bit of moisture and cloud in off the Irish Sea, and again gusts could be in excess of 35-40 miles an hour in exposure. The further north and east, the drier, clearer and colder conditions, and certainly in rural spots over the tops of the Pennines we're looking at a touch of frost as we head towards dawn. 7:53 and 4:01 are your sun times for tomorrow. Still got that strong north to northwesterly flow, bringing a bit of cloud for the morning, but into the afternoon I think all places will see a decent dose of sunshine. It's still blustery, still quite chilly over the tops, and a significant wind chill. In that wind and exposure to it, feeling more like 1 or 2 rather than the already lower than average 5 or 6. A widespread frost as we head into tomorrow night. So the early hours of Saturday will be crispy, a good dose of sunshine. It's the best day of the weekend, but again, despite the winds being a lot lighter, we're struggling with those temperatures, and then more cloud and less cold, at least for a time, Sunday into Monday. Take care.
Cleaned up well.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Of course Santa watches Granada Reports. There's a clause in his contract.
He's here all week?
All week. Bye-bye.
See you later.
Net migration tops 670,000 as the UK's population grows at its fastest rate since the 1960s. It puts massive pressure on the government, which has staked much of its reputation on getting immigration under control. Last year was even higher. 750,000 more people arrived than left the UK.
The British people elected a government to reduce migration. We've seen it increase threefold. We now have a year, or whatever it is, until the election to deliver on that promise.
For the PM, it is a problem that doesn't seem to go away as he faces a revolt from the Tory right. One of the loudest voices, the former Home Secretary, saying enough is enough. Also tonight. A stabbing near a primary school in Dublin's city centre. 3 children and a woman are taken to hospital after what the Justice Minister called an appalling attack. Plucked to safety from the 16th floor. A lucky escape for a construction worker trapped by a huge fire on a rooftop in Reading. At 7, the children whose lives could be cut short because the NHS says the drugs they rely on are too expensive. We have a special report. And reuniting 21 years after hitting the big time, girls Aloud tell us why they're getting back together.
We spent a lot more time together over the last couple of years, and then natural conversations started.
This is the ITV Evening News with Mary Nightingale.
Good evening. The Prime Minister is once again under pressure over immigration as official figures